like an infant down the stairs toward an alley that led to his townhouse. So Lauren tried walking again, and she dropped her wristlet in this alley, and then she fell again, forward this time, and she couldn't raise her hands in time, so she fell like face first into the pavement, and then she got up and fell again. So Rossman helped Lauren sit down on a curb, and he then called a high school friend, Brooke Bolins, who was in Massachusetts. So I'm not sure why he called her, but he called at 2:05 a.m. and at 2:55 a.m. but she didn't answer. And it's weird that he didn't call anyone else. Her boyfriend Wolf would have answered the call, because on more than a dozen prior occasions he had rushed out to get her whenever she would call, because this was a regular occurrence with Lauren. But he didn't call Wolf for help. Either he didn't know his number, or he didn't want to bring in the boyfriend. But he picked Lauren back up, fireman style, and carried her the remaining block to his townhouse. So, the timeline gets hazy here, as there were no security cameras in the townhouses at this time. So what happened to Lauren can only be told by the four men who were in this townhouse, which was Mike Beth, Corey Rossman, Jay Rosenbaum, and Rosenbaum's friends visiting from out of state, David Blesnick and Alex Ferber. Rossman later said through his lawyer that he suffered a memory lapse from the punch, although he never went to get any medical check for the punch. And they said Blesnick was asleep, and I guess Ferber, it seems, wasn't at the house that night. So that just leaves Beth and Rosenbaum as key witnesses of what would have happened. But they both described doing their best to help a girl who was in dire shape, but their stories diverged, and in Rosenbaum's case, evolved as he talked to the police later. But they couldn't consistently answer how Lauren had gotten from Rossman's to Rosenbaum's, 2 doors down. But Rossman took Lauren to his townhouse, which his roommate Beth was there. And then I guess Rossman was also really drunk, and he threw up on the carpet. So he was also in bad shape. So then Beth supposedly brought Lauren to Rosenbaum's, which was 2 houses down, or 2 doors down, but that's hazy on how she actually got there, because Rosenbaum's saying that he wasn't awake and he was woken up by Beth, but Beth was saying that they were just hanging out, and he went for the noise and stuff. I don't know, it's all confusing on what actually happened with that. But also, I guess there was a 4 a.m. phone call. There were 2 phone calls around 4 a.m. from Rosenbaum's cell phone. So one was to David Rohn, and the other was to Scott Schwartz. And no one knows if Rosenbaum actually made this call, or if Lauren was trying to call them. And if she was trying to call them, why didn't she call her boyfriend? So they're not saying how these phone calls were made either. But yeah, she was never seen again after she entered their townhouse, and their story just doesn't really add up. Rosenbaum says she left his apartment around 4:30, and he claimed he made Lauren walk a straight line to demonstrate her sobriety, which I guess she passed his test somehow.
He's a fucking breathalyzer?
Right, yeah. And he claimed she insisted on going home, even though she had no shoes and was having trouble even standing. And he claimed to have watched her exit his front door, continuing to ask if she was okay to walk home. But she just walked away, I guess. But another account of his, later, he said he watched her walk away from his second floor balcony instead of from the front door. So that kind of changed. And he said he watched her walk to the intersection of 11th and College, which was past a construction site without incident. But then later he said maybe there was a shadowy figure that approached Lauren at that corner. So they're kind of thinking maybe he added that detail. Or I don't know, maybe he did just remember it, but it seems a little convenient that he's oh yeah, maybe there was a shadowy figure that approached her and I didn't do anything about it. That seems crazy if he saw that. Um, Also, because a lot of this information comes from this author of the book that I read, which was College Girl Missing. But the author said he was there, like on Bloomington, and he was trying to look from like the doorway to the corner that Rosenbaum says he saw her at, and like that you wouldn't be able to see that far in the dark and stuff. So it's a
Okay.
little, yeah, it's a little iffy if he actually saw her leave without incident and actually to that intersection. But Rosenbaum maintains that she left the townhouse and whoever was responsible was out there and wasn't any of the guys. And I guess Rosenbaum never offered to walk her home, though, either. And the next day, Wolf texted and called her, which eventually someone at Kilroy's answered the phone and said it had been left there. And he tried to like go pick up the phone, but they said they could only give it to Lauren or the police. And then Rossman was seen in the morning by classmates, and they said that he had no bruising or noticeable redness on his face. So some people are saying he was not actually punched in the face. And supposedly he walked up to some of them that he recognized and he said, "What's up, boys? Any of you happen to see a little blonde girl?" Like talking about Lauren. So that's kind of weird. Tamir, Lauren's roommate, also noticed she wasn't back in the morning, and she asked a few people, but no one was too worried about it, as it was like typical that sometimes someone would party too hard and like crash somewhere and like, sleep until maybe 2 p.m. Especially Lauren had done that before. So no one was super concerned in the morning. But Sarah Gornish, which I guess is a friend in this group, she was at a morning class and then she went to the pool where Tamir was supposed to join her later. But instead, Tamir texted her about Wolf like freaking out, and Wolf then called Gornish like right after that. And like again, a lot of them said it wasn't unusual that Lauren was missing after a night of partying, but Wolf seemed like really anxious about it this time. So Gornish asked Rossman and Rosenbaum, who were also at the pool, if they had seen Lauren. And they did say they had seen her the night before and that she'd left their townhouse pretty messed up. So I don't know why they let her
Yeah,
leave.
why would they let her leave?
Right. But the group of friends decided to form their own informal search party, which Rossman and Rosenbaum did initially join. And they retraced her steps from the townhouse to apartment complex, which really was not that far away. And they found her keys down the alleyway where she had dropped it between the pool and her apartment. So the group split up from there, and Rossman went back to his townhouse to meet up with his roommate, Mike Beth. And Beth said he had texted Lauren, but he hadn't received a reply. And Rossman also texted her saying, "If you have your phone back, let me know." And then Rossman also again called his high school friend Brooke Bullens at 2:22 p.m., which she did answer this call, and it lasted around 3 minutes. But it's like kind of like, what did he say, and why was this the only person who was like calling? But I guess they were high school friends, so maybe he's just freaking out a little bit or something. But Rossman and Beth also met up with Rosenbaum and his friends from out of town, David Blesnick and Alex Ferber, and they all discussed the night like prior. And then Wolf called Roan to ask if he had seen her, which he said the last time he had was when her and Rossman were going to the bars. And Roan went to her apartment and found Wolf and a half a dozen of her friends inside, which they were becoming increasingly worried. And they all compared notes from the night before. And they also called the hospitals and jail, and there was no sign of Lauren there. And they had found her purse, and they knew the state like Lauren had been in the night before, so they were really worried. And also, I guess, like a few months before this, she had passed out at a party at 3 a.m. and Wolf went to get her, like carrying her back to her apartment, which she then threw up on the bed and like was convulsing. But he didn't call 911, like despite thinking she was dying, because he didn't want her to break up with him if he exposed her, since she was on probation and she would probably get expelled.
Oh, okay, but
Right. If you
being expelled from school and dying are not the same.
Right. Well, he also thought she'd break up with him, but like, yeah, if she's dead, then
Again,
right. Yeah,
perspective.
right. But he stayed up all night watching her to make sure she was okay then. But like with this incident, only a few months later, he definitely blamed himself and her for doing the same thing again. And he decided they had to like call in the police this time since she was missing. So Wolf called her older sister Rebecca about it, and Rebecca called her dad, who called the mom, as like Wolf headed to the police station. So they went there to report her missing that evening. And like Sarah Gornish, Amanda Rood, David Roan, Hadar Tamir, and Jesse Wolf went, but Rossman and Rosenbaum, or like Beth or the two friends from out of town, did not go with them. And Lauren's description the police like gave out to the public was a white woman, 4'11", slender build, blue eyes, shoulder-length blonde hair, white tank top and black tights, and barefoot. So she is a tiny woman.
Yeah, that is really small. What time of year was this?
What?
What time of year was this?
This was June 3rd.
Okay, why was she wearing tights?
I don't know. Well,
Anyway.
at night it can get a little chilly because she was going out.
Yeah. She didn't have shoes?
No, she lost her shoes, remember?
They let her walk home without shoes, though?
She had no shoes, yeah. From the bar, she left with no shoes. And they didn't keep her at the townhouse, even though she could barely stand.
See, okay, I'm upset right now.
Okay. From
I don't know.
everything. I'm upset too.
I mean, why? Like, what kind of friends do that?
Right.
What kind of friends just let their friends do that?
Right. I mean,
without.
Yeah.
Not even. They. Well, I mean, I see why they might not want to, but like, at least walk her home.
Right. At least walk her home. Or like just if I feel like if she just sat on the couch, she wouldn't be able to get back up. Just sit her down. Hand her a glass of water. And then she would probably fall asleep like almost instantly. Like she was barely walking. So I'm not sure how she even walked away. Or like it's not like they could have stopped her, but at the same time, the only one that's her actual friend in this that she knew like since high school was Rosenbaum. So he should have done more. But like Mike Beth was just the roommate of someone. He doesn't know Lauren. And then Corey Rossman's like an acquaintance that just wanted to like have sex with her. So he was probably like, oh, this is too much now. Like guys get, I don't know. But yeah, they should have, I don't know, bare minimum, walk her home if she insists on going home somehow.
Right.
But I don't know. Saturday morning, her parents, Charlene and Rob, arrived at the Indianapolis airport and drove to Bloomington. So they had both booked like last minute flights, Rob from New York and Charlene from Alabama, as she was tending to her ailing mother. So they all like joined for a search party. And like Corey Rossman, Jay Rosenbaum, Mike Beth, and David Blesnick became persons of interest in the case, along with her boyfriend, Jesse Wolf, who said he was asleep, but otherwise, like, he couldn't account for his time during the time that she went missing. Like, phone records, video cameras, and neutral third parties couldn't verify Wolf's whereabouts in the late hours of June 2nd to early morning June 3rd. So maybe somehow he got involved. But his frat brothers all said he was with a large group of them watching the NBA Finals game. And after it ended, he went back home and talked to his roommate until they went to bed between 1:30 and 3 a.m. But just one guy in his friend group had a different story. Aaron Greenberg, which was Wolf's other roommate, said he and Wolf watched the game, just the two of them, drinking beer and smoking weed until 3 a.m., where Greenberg went to bed. And he couldn't verify if Wolf never left the house, as he had a loud portable fan in his room, so he wouldn't have heard if Wolf left. And Greenberg was shocked that all the other frat boys told a different story, and he said, quote, "That night was a blur, I was drunk that night," end quote. So, maybe Wolf did actually leave. But there's no, like, security footage of him, like, going towards the townhouse or anything. But the news picked up the story